build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty. This is episode 109. Joined by John and Colin tonight. John, how are you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Good, mate. Nice weekend.
Aye, there was a couple of notable highlights.
Aye, sure, we'll come on to them. Assuming you're talking about the football and you didn't get lucky, but maybe you go both. Anyway, we're not talking about the latter one if that happened.
Oh, I'm not one to kiss and tell.
Just going to talk about the football. Colin, how about you?
I'm good, mate. Aye, good weekend, good day today. So aye, good.
Happy days. Right, we'll get right into it. A bit of a busy agenda for us tonight. So we're going to have a look back and talk about the win at Motherwell yesterday. We'll talk about Josh Doig, who looks like he's leaving the club. We've also got the game against Rijeka, is that how you pronounce it, on Thursday. I think we've done them a bit more justice than I did with St. Columbo, or whatever they were called, the Hatchet Men, Airdrie of the South. And we'll look ahead to Ross County on Sunday. And then we've got some talking points for the game that folk have sent in as well. So, Josh Doig, first of all, then, looks like he's going to be moving away for quite a substantial sum. Colin, what's your thoughts?
I think we all kind of knew it was going to be coming. I think so. Just I suppose good luck to the laddie. I hope. Don't know. Do we know where it is yet? No, that's not been leaked or anything.
Nah, there was a report posted on Hibs.net that Leeds were prepared to match Hibs' asking price for it, and Arsenal as well.
Because I'm just hoping that maybe we can get him back on loan for a year. Because I think it's probably too early for him to go. He's not going to go and get a game there, is he? Right. So he's got to go, and I hope he doesn't drift in the under-23s league down there, which is pretty shite. You know, I would imagine if they're going to take him on, they might want to loan him out, but they might want to loan him out to a championship team right away to toughen him up, or whatever it is they do down there. That's kind of what they do, isn't it? They send a lot of their promising talent to the English Championship for the to run into the big guys. But aye, good luck to him. He's done well. Good season, one good season. Amazing how much money they're talking for one good season.
Aye, superb. I think it was Nottingham Forest as well. There's a bit of a rumour that they are looking to loan him off of whoever buys him. John, how would you think we'll do with the money that we make from him?
I think we'll do pretty well. Obviously, I don't know exactly what we'll spend it on, but I think we've talked about it enough at length that we want, and the club have talked about it at length as well, that they want to be in a position where they develop talent, they get the appropriate transfer fee for the talent that we've developed, with a view to reinvest in it. I think as much as Ron Gordon said he expected maybe 2 or 3 to leave, I think having that money is just going to make us a better outfit in terms of who we can look at next.
Yeah.
Because I know that the boy McCart at St Johnstone has been mentioned, but they've got their own European ambitions as well, and I'm sure they'll be looking to hold on to their best players. So assuming that we're in the mix for getting them, McCart's not going to come cheap.
Yeah.
Or at least St Johnstone aren't going to let him go on the cheap. So in a weird way, it's almost good for Scottish football.
Well, because the money will get distributed. It's that filtered down thing, isn't it? Do you think that if we get the 4 or 5 million that's been reported, you're going to get your triple ply in the toilets, or is that still a pipe dream?
Maybe in 2 or 3 shite pipe. Aye, maybe in 2 or 3 transfers time we can start with a double ply, just kind of hedge our bets a wee bit.
Work our way up to it.
Work our way up.
I was thinking that earlier on, like, because Hibs previously, when we've taken in big money for clubs, we've had sort of significant infrastructure projects to work on. So East Mains was one, and then the redeveloping the stadium to get the East Terracing up, or the East Stand as it is now. But we didn't really have anything like that. I know Ron Gordon was talking about getting a big telly in. So we have a big telly, digital advertising boards, I think we'll look to have them permanently. But I'm not sure if they'll take that spend out of what we take in for Doig. And I think the other thing they were talking about then was getting a full-size AstroTurf indoor pitch up at East Mains as well. So you don't know if it's an opportunity for them to do that. And my gut feeling is it'll go on players.
Yeah, well, they were already talked about before Doig was even on the scene. So unless it's going to get it done quicker, but it was already planned for, so I assume there's money aside for that. Maybe we might get this insurance money back that we're claiming for the lost income last year.
Someone will be able to confirm or correct me, but my impression in the past, at least, was that any time we got a transfer fee, like you say, I think it was the Scott Brown money went towards East Mains, but other transfer fees before that, I think the suggestion was it was almost going to pay the interest on Tom Farmer's loans or investments or whatever.
If you think the golden generation, so if you go back, when was the collapse of the TV deals and everything? Satanta went down, and that was, I think that was around about the time Bobby Williams was in charge, which is why he had to play all the kids that then Mowbray got the benefit of. And then
2001, 2000, something like that.
Then when we sold the golden generation, it was because we had to balance the books. I think it was something like 18-19 million pounds worth of debt we were in. Okay. And so all kind of went there, as well as the infrastructure, if I remember right. But we're in a much healthier. We've not got that debt to service. Is what, 2 million to the government that's paid back over 20 years interest free. So there'll not be in a rush to pay that back if you didn't have to. So my gut feel is that I think we'll probably move quite quickly on a few next level signings for us. It's the ones that will make folks sit up and take notice. A bit like Mueller for America. You know, when we signed him and people were touting it being probably Celtic or Rangers that were going to attract him. And then lo and behold, it's Hibs. So I think we might have a few things like that up our sleeve.
I wonder if that transfer, is it Mueller or Mueller?
Mueller, I think. Maybe Mueller.
Let's say Mueller. I wonder if that transfer of Mueller, if that's going to make, never mind like us sitting up and taking notice and going, oh, you know, we've attracted him. I wonder if that's going to make other players around, whether it's America or domestically, it's going to make players sit up and go, oh, that could be a place for me to go.
I think we did that with Nisbet as well, bringing in Nisbet. Yeah, because we spent money on Nisbet and McGuinness as well. We'll talk a bit about McGuinness when we talk about the game, but I think Hibs have sort of shown a bit of intent with their signings over the last, since Ron Gordon came in, since he's had an opportunity to do it. I think our signing policy has been pretty good, if I'm honest. We've no signed too many duds, which is a good thing for us. All right, so best of luck to Josh Doig. Jack Ross kind of hinted that he would probably be away this week, so I think we won't see him in a Hibs shirt again. So good luck to the tripod. We'll need to get a replacement tripod-esque player into to cover now. Right, Motherwell yesterday. How good was it being back in a sort of busy, almost full away end?
It was really good. It was my first game. My first game back. Hi. No, my first game back. I haven't been to any games at Easter Road yet. So the noise, you forget how noisy it is, don't you? I think Josh maybe said that in the car on the way back. But the noise, even though it was only half full, 4,000. There's a big stand in it, so 4,000 that holds. I think it was really noisy when the players came out, because I didn't realise they were under the tunnel. I was waiting on them coming out with Motherwell came out, and they came out, and then that was when you heard the roar and the Hibs chanting that, and you think, wow, forgot how good this was. So it was good, really good.
Oh, you, John, how did you feel being back like that?
I felt like a wee laddie going to his first football game. So apart from the fact that it was really nice going through in the car with yourselves and Josh and Collins, Wheel and Grace, and just having that pre-away day chat in the motor, kind of getting yourself hyped up a wee bit for the game. Because we were in the upper tier of the away end, when you were climbing the steps, and I don't know if there's many other stadiums like this, but you'll probably have heard stories of kids going to their first game when they sort of walk out through the tunnel, the concourse area, and they see the pitch in front of them.
Yep.
I got a wee glimpse of it as I was going up the stairs, because the entrance and exit ways at Motherwell are actually quite big in comparison to most of the stadiums that I've been to. So you've got a real good view of the pitch, and it was beautiful. you got the lush, freshly cut grass, you've got the sprinklers out, you've got bodies there, you've got the sun teeming down, and then that was before what Colin described about the noise when you got upstairs, because I never appreciated just how good the acoustics were at Fir Park before in the away end. But like I said, like I was looking over because the Motherwell, I think is it Block E they call themselves. They obviously kicked up a bit of noise when Motherwell were taking the pitch. And I'm looking at their players streaming out and thinking, where's Hibs? Like, are they holding them back a wee bit to get the Motherwell crowd hyped up? And then obviously the noise started in the Hibs end because they were coming out to our bottom right, and it was just, I'd been to the Arsenal game and I'd been to the Santa Coloma game, and I think I said this in the car on the way back. Those two games at Easter Road, I think everyone was still a wee bit hesitant, and obviously there wasn't an away crowd, but folk were like, I got the impression that people were still a wee bit, what do we do with the masks? Do we keep them on? Do we take them off? Do we sing? Do we back the team? And it was almost as though it's kind of like the gloves were off yesterday, but it was the masks were off. Like everyone was getting involved. Everyone was just, I think, delighted to be back watching competitive, live, in the flesh football.
Aye, it definitely, and I think that what you were describing, I think that's potentially the first time anybody's used the words Motherwell and beautiful in the same sentence. So it's a first for the podcast.
Aye, I know. I know it's not the most picturesque surroundings, but I actually think it's quite a cool wee stadium, and it was a decent surface.
My favourite thing about Motherwell, right, football aside, is they've got a wee retail park with a KFC in it, and with the signs painted on the floor, like on the road, to tell you where to go, they've spelt it KEC. It's like, you've only got 3 letters to get right there, boys, or girls, whoever's done it. KEC. So I think what E stands for, but you could probably guess in Motherwell. I thought it was great. I think it was helped with the all white kit as well. The Hibs came out, and that kind of, it was sunny. Hibs looked magnificent. When they came out, you're like, fuck, that strip looks quality, and it was brilliant sunny day. It was like you couldn't have written it to be better, really, and then a cracking game of football to follow. So I think before we kind of delve into the first half and then the second half, discussions, overall, your take on the game, John?
I thought, like you say, it was a really good and entertaining game of football for the first one back. Like, you'd have been forgiven for teams being a wee bit cagey, but it seemed like both teams wanted to go for it. Both teams wanted to go and get the victory. So even when Motherwell scored, they never seemed to shut up. So obviously the cup final last year, it was like Hibs went 1-0 down, you were like, oh fuck, that's it, game over kind of thing. But it never felt like that yesterday, either time that we went behind. And to Hibs' credit, they never resorted to just aimless balls forward. And just because he's not here, one of the things that I know that Craig wanted to mention was that he was listening to, or he was watching a stream online that didn't have any commentary, and he said he could hear Jack Ross screaming at the players to keep the ball on the deck. And I know that was a wee bit of criticism last year. It was just the aimless long balls. Overall, I thought Hibs were really good, and I thought that the substitutions and the tactical changes that Jack Ross made were brilliant. Won the game for us, in fact.
Aye. What would you call an overall assessment of the game?
Well, I thought we were the better team, fairly comfortably. Played the better football. They were pretty physical, but we didn't shy away from it. But I was a bit surprised their number 9 got the man of the match, considering like we were the better team. I think the possession stats were like 55-60% to us, so it's kind of proven like we had more of the ball. We were doing more. We were the better team, and we were leading for the 70th minute onwards. So I'm just a wee bit surprised they got man of the match. Obviously got a goal, but I thought we were good and deserved it. And I'm just thinking what John said there. When we went behind, it's funny, when I was watching on the telly, it's not the same watching on the telly, like I've said over and over, but when we went behind last season, we were never confident we would get back into it. But yesterday, going behind twice, I still fancied coming back. Like, because even at 2-1, I said to my daughter at half time, so we'll get this a 3-2. All the goals will be at this end in the second half. Generally say that quite a lot to her anyway, but I didn't know believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the game was over when we were losing, which last season was only once. I think we came back to win. So
Against Ross County.
in the league anyway.
I was saying that I just never felt that we were losing the game at any point, really. I think the only time I really got worried about it was after we'd gone ahead. So we're 3-2. And I text Jane to find out how long was left. Because I was like, this board's going up any minute. And she texts back, she's like, 14 minutes. It's like, how can there be fucking 14 minutes left? I was like ready for it being full time. And then I started to get a wee bit nervous there. But really, I didn't really need to be because the team were pretty comfortable. So if we look at the first half, Colin, kind of breakdown of the half. So we went behind, scored, went behind again, had a wee shout for the penalty. So how would you kind of describe what your thoughts on the goals that we lost first of all?
I thought they were poor. I've watched them back on Sports Scene at the time. I thought they were poor. But even I think if it was singling folk out, you've got to look at Gogic for giving the free kicks away and for the defending for both of them. And like he's not that wee. He was a centre half, I think, before he came here. So it's not like he's out his depth there. I think Sports Scene called it a mismatch for Mugabe and him. And so I googled it. There's 3 centimetres difference between them. It's not really a mismatch. It was only a mismatch because he timed it all wrong and he got it all wrong. No, because the boy's like 7 inches taller than him or something. Yeah,
and Gogic is a unit as well. I mind when he signed and he had that picture of himself with it kind of going boxing with his top off and that. It's not like he's no built.
So I think it was silly free kick. Certainly the second goal was a silly, just like a tangly legs. And I said that in the car to on the way back yesterday. I think when Gogic plays, we kind of get dragged into silly wee scraps. And I know we want the Matty Jack roll filled and all that kind of shite that you read about and hear about, but I'm not sure. Like he has had these good games for us. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just think we're not as good a team. We're a better team when he's not in it. Actually, is what I would say. But the first half, I thought we played well. It was a definite penalty on. I mean, we're at the other end and nobody was saying, "I'm not sure that wasn't a penalty." Everybody thought that was a penalty. I know we're all biased. Got about 3 texts in for folk watching on the telly saying definitely a penalty. I've not seen anybody disagreeing on the TV that I've watched. How it wasn't anywhere else in the pitch. You're getting a free kick for that push or nudge, and if he wasn't already on a yellow, he could have even got a straight red because it's like goal scoring opportunity, isn't it? We were all expecting McGuinness to get the shot away, so
I don't know what
opportunity then.
Did they not change that rule so it wasn't like double jeopardy where
if you make a genuine attempt for the ball? But you couldn't say the boy made a genuine attempt for the ball because he pretty much just cleaned McGuinness. Even like it wasn't just the shoulder; it's his legs make contact as well. I mean,
he was never near the ball, so I think it is that one where it can be a red and a penalty. Because it was, I think, the one example I remember was McGregor against Hearts in the cup game when it was 3-1. He cleaned the boy out, but he went for the ball, so they got the penalty. I mean, the one Marciano saved and the rebound. So that's why he only got the yellow because Hearts fans were shouting for the red at the time. But that was about the time when the rule changed, so 2017 or something like that. But it was I thought it was really, well, I said it already, really physical. Boyle just gets kicked up and down like every week, and I defended him last year for it, and then obviously got pissed off with him in the cup final when he actually did dive. But yesterday they've obviously set out just to. He's the danger man. Just kick him. What I like about Boyle is he just gets back up and runs again. Doesn't put him off. It's not like that old school kick him and he'll kick him and see what he's made of. But what he's made of is he'll just keep running. And in a way, I wonder, are they trying to kick him, or is it just that he's that quick, that they're that slow, that he's making them slow, so the reaction time. I don't know if it's always an intentional kick, or it's just that he catches him out, surprises him every time how quick he is, and they're swinging a leg and missing, or catching him rather than the ball. But the other thing I was going to say, blabber on, but Joe Newell, I wasn't impressed with Joe Newell in the first half. Actually, I was a wee bit. He did come better in the second half, but I just felt like he slowed us down a bit. stopping on the ball and turning and pirouetting and knocking it back or sideways. And I know he's a big fan's favourite in that, but I just think it's a bit of a. I just don't know. I just don't know if he plays well enough, often enough. But and when you're looking at the midfielders we've got there, I'm not so sure he's a first pick every time now.
Yeah,
he is. I think in Ross's eyes maybe, but I don't think he is in mine. But he did come onto a game though. We're not talking about the second half now though. So
it's one of those things. You look at if he could replicate his second half performance, you'd have no criticism really at all because he was excellent second half. But first half, I agree with you. If he'd been subbed off at half time, I think anybody would have batted an eyelid about it. I think anybody would have been like, "What's he taking him off for?"
Before we got the goal, I was thinking I wouldn't mind him coming off now, like even the first goal. Because McGuinness, I thought, never mentioned McGuinness, he had a really good first half where he was playing the position he was playing in the first half. It was an easy finish, I suppose. It was just reactions, but he was in the right time, right place, and all that. And didn't often, well, we won last season. I did certainly on Quick Bang or something about midfielders not chipping in the goals.
And not getting into the box as well. But you see, actually, for that goal, I think there's 3 or 4 players in the box waiting for the cross to come in. John, what did you think of the Hibs goal for it? If you talk us through the move, if you remember it.
It's just, I think the thing that I remember most about the move was Nisbet's. I hope I remember this rightly. Was it Nisbet's pass out to McGinn?
Yeah.
There was just a couple of things you were talking about there, Colin. That the boy 9125 analysis, Craig Nisbet, he does a really good breakdown of some of the things, but he also talks about the movement of the players off the ball that leads to Hibs' opening goal. So it was all the players that were kind of pushing more towards the edge of the 18-yard or the edge of the D, and Paul McGinn sees the space, and Nisbet just fizzes that first-time ball out to him. As much as McGinn got a bit of stick for the opening goal, that we conceded, his involvement in Hibs' first goal was just brilliant. Like you say, the ball came in, he's cut the ball back. It's funny, do you know, I was thinking about this at the game. Where he was, I was thinking he needs to get further into the box, like so they could cut it back, kind of like the folk used to call the sweaty goal in Pro Evo. Get to the byline, cut it back for someone to sort of hook in. But he played it earlier than I thought he would, and he played it to Jamie Murphy, who takes that big fresh air swipe. But like you say, there was bodies in the box that were queuing up for it. It wasn't just one of those aimless, put it in the box and hope that someone gets on the end of it. It was very deliberate what Hibs had done in getting bodies in there.
I think Boyle was in there as well, wasn't he?
Nisbet was in too. After he played the initial pass, because Murphy takes a swing at it. I think it's just too far in front of Nisbet to get any contact on it.
It's a beautiful ball off
McGuinness.
Nisbet to McGinn. I mean, everybody stood up, I think, at the time because McGinn was in that much space. It was one of them when you go, the chance here. It was one of them ones.
Just the number of bodies that were there, they were queuing up for it, and that's what resulted in the goal. It was really pleasing to see McGuinness get on the end of it because I think he was playing yesterday, or he certainly started yesterday in that, I want to say almost like the number 10 position that Scott Allen's typically filled. And Scott Allen's chipped in with a few goals for there, so it's nice to see that McGuinness getting that start. He's kind of cementing that place as his own because he started the season well, and it's nice to see him continue to show what he's capable of because we definitely got a really good glimpse of that yesterday.
Yeah. McGuinness, we've spoken about him before. Like I thought when we signed him, we'd want to watch. That's a great signing. I'd always been impressed with him with St Mirren, and it just didn't happen for him last season. Coming back from injury and then being out with COVID, etc. And you can sort of understand he was only ever like getting 20 minutes here and there, very rarely getting a start. He's had the pre-season behind him. He started a few games. He's been playing more central, and he's properly impacting games. I mean, he's like a really significant player in that Hibs midfield. He's not just like a bystander chipping in with wee bits. He made a proper significant contribution yesterday. Going back to the goals, so we were lamenting the defending like at the game for the 2 goals, and I think when they got the free kick that led to the second goal, I remember saying to Josh, I says, "That's our fucking weakness. This like with crosses coming in, and obviously again that's famous last words they score right for that free kick. But then when we're coming back, Josh said to me, Sports Scene or Sky Sports said that we never conceded a headed goal in the league at all last season, which I thought was remarkable. I know we did in the cup, but in the league, and you think, how do you get the impression that we can't deal with crosses when we've got a record like that? It's like it's no borne out by the facts at all. So I think where it comes from.
It's a perpetuating myth, isn't it? But we do it a lot to ourselves in the message boards and on Twitter and that. It's the same with the Jack Ross's record and poor defence when we've got the best defence out with the Old Firm. You know what I mean? We go on. We always lose late goals. When I think last season we only lost late goals to lose points twice or three times or something. You know what I mean? It's like we're not any worse than anybody else. If in fact we're better at a lot of these things than anybody else, but we focus on it a lot more. I think
you're spot on. You're right. I think it was from lead-in. I think there was twice we drew and once we got beat, and that is it, which is pretty good at holding on to a lead. John, we made some changes for not immediately, but the second half we saw Gogic go off. Who came on for Gogic? Was it Doig? Came on.
Yeah.
It was Doig, and we just went to simple.
Nisbet sort of dropped a bit deeper as well, didn't he? Nisbet seemed to fall, and McGuinness went a bit deeper, I think, as well. But
it's the second half, John. What was your takeaways for the second half?
It's a good question, to be honest. It's weird because see, when you were watching the game on the TV, you've probably got a lot more time to watch it, to dwell on it, to absorb what's actually happening. Whereas see, when you're at the game, and it might just be because it's the first, like I say, first competitive game of football with fans there that I've seen for a year and a bit, however many months that adds up to. But one of the things that the boy Craig Nisbet had pointed out was that Newell and Gogic were playing on opposite sides. So normally Newell plays on the left side of midfield and Gogic plays on the right.
Yep.
And I think that's one. I don't know. It's a strange one because I mentioned it. I replied to his tweet earlier, and I was saying that that's really strange because I remember one of the things that I pointed out last year was the defensive work that both Newell and Gogic did in supporting the fullbacks. Like they would kind of like drop in and pick up men or whatever. And for whatever reason, Jack Ross has switched them about yesterday, which has obviously led to giving away free kicks because Gogic is on the wrong side, he's going in with the wrong leg, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that Jack Ross is looked at it and went, "You've had your time. It's still not working. We need to make a change now." It might have looked at it and said, "This is the midfield that we've started with. It's not working." It might have been other things that were going on elsewhere. Maybe we're just looking a wee bit light up front, not penning in their fullbacks, whatever it happened to be. But the substitution of Doig was obviously instrumental in the second goal because it was just, it's funny because I saw someone else talking earlier that he's not a natural goal scorer, and yet some of the goals that he scores, the number of goals that he scores, suggests that he is a natural goal scorer. So that was key, and some of the changes that were made as well. So I think that meant putting Doig up front. It meant that McGuinness had to drop back a wee bit, and there was another substitution later on that meant that McGuinness had to go out further left. But the substitutions yesterday were huge in Hibs' victory.
Because Murphy went off and Jake Doyle-Hayes came on, and then Josh Campbell came on later on. What did you make of Jake Doyle-Hayes, Colin?
I've got to say I didn't notice an awful lot of him. I've read since a lot of folk rating him, but I never at the game. I didn't really. I didn't pay much attention to him, so I don't know. I actually forgot we had signed him when he came on. I went, "Who's that?" And then they read it out, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about him." But well, he done the job, didn't he? For what was required. I thought it took a wee bit away from McGuinness, like as a McGuinness kind of drifted out of the game a wee bit, being out wide again, and that's obviously where he never really prospered last year either. So I'm not sure it suits McGuinness getting punted away out to the side or in a deeper position.
Curious though, because I remember when Doyle Hayes came on, and I remember looking at him because where we were, he was playing on the left, so obviously he was playing on the right at Hibs midfield. So he would have been picking up the position that Gogic was in, or should have been in originally.
Yeah.
So Newell's obviously gone out to the left. So it's almost as if we've taken. It's almost as if the change has been to get the goal for Hibs to get back on level terms, and then we've put on the guy that's maybe more defensively minded again. Does that make sense?
Aye, but it's funny, I didn't think he played defensively. So I know Doyle Hayes has a reputation when we signed him of being that kind of, ball winner. But he was instrumental in the move that led to the penalty for the winner. Because he was right, on the edge of their box, played the wee ball into. So he takes the ball off Boyle, I think, and then plays the ball in for Boyle to cut back. But I thought he buzzed the boot really well. I was really impressed when he got the ball. His first instinct was to try and go forward with it as well. It wasn't like, Colin, you mentioned Joe Newell first half, kind of pirouetting on the ball and playing it backwards. He was like the opposite of that. He got the ball and looked for the forward pass and then went and supported the attack. So, you hear commentators talking about it where you get a player that will make a pass and then watch it because they'll just admire their own bit of work. Yeah. And they say, okay, really what you need to be doing is passing and then getting on your bike and moving. And I thought he did that. And I actually thought when McGuinness went out wide, we lost a wee bit from him in an attacking sense, but I thought he made us a wee bit more solid down that side, along with Newell, who kind of pushed a bit further out that side. And Newell started to really impact the game, I thought, once Doyle Hayes came on. So that was a big change. So the second goal, John, what about the bit of play for Nisbet?
His initial shot.
Aye.
That whole attacking move was brilliant. So I think it was Joe Newell. I think he'd be being generous if you gave him like the sort of the secondary assist or whatever, because he plays the ball into Nisbet, but it's all the work there is Nisbet, because I think he gets a first touch, and then I don't know how. And Josh and I talked about it when we were at the game. I don't know how he's managed to get the room and the power and the direction that he did on the shot, because he's managed to fizz it along the deck around the outstretched hand of the goalkeeper, and he's just unlucky that it's come back off the post. But I think the thing that impressed me most about that was where Doig started and finished the move, because you think of Doig as being like the number 9, the target man, but he starts the move in the old sort of inside left position. He's not in the left. He's not out on the. He's not in the wing. He's a wee bit further in than that. But the whole move, like even when you watch the replay back, you watch him watching the line. It's just instinctive, like how he gets in there and how he bundles it. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's when I say it's a typical Doig finish, I'm not being disrespectful, because that's exactly what you want in that situation. You want someone there to tuck it away. It doesn't matter how it is. Could be side footed, could be blasting at the back of the net. He's bundled in and it's gone. And I think it's to his credit as well that Liam Kelly's first reaction was to get up and look for the offside, but Doig just played a blinder there.
Mm-hmm. It was brilliant for Nisbet. It was like hardly any backlift, like you say, and he just passed. It was just a pass, like to get the angle that he did. It was just unfortunate it didn't go in. But as you said, Doig just threw to sell it, didn't he? It was almost a tackle.
Aye, he should have won it
to score it. Yeah.
There's
it was Nisbet. It was lovely for Nisbet though.
He sort of nutmegged the defender as well. Nisbet. It's just it was brilliant because his first touch. If you take a still, I paused it when I was watching it on Sports Scene, and there's probably a moment after his first touch as he's shaping to shoot, but I think he's got 3 defenders, and immediately in front of him, and then a couple either side. So he's really got nowhere to go with that, and to dig out a shot as accurate as albeit it didn't quite go in, but you're talking millimeters. To beat the keeper and everything, it was superb. I thought Nisbet, when you watch him and how he played in the game, I thought he looked different class. Like I thought he looked a really, really good player.
I think a lot of that didn't you see on the telly last season? Came didn't get to see a lot of that, but yesterday sees movement and that pass. You would have seen that on the TV. That pass for again for the goal, that attempt there. But it was the other bits and bobs because he was dropping deeper and his hold up play and all that. It was really, really good. And I don't know if he's got better than last season. I'm assuming we are improving him, and then being away with the Scotland team will no doubt have improved him as well, brought him up a level, maybe a bit as well. But I would imagine his head will be getting turned with how much Doig's going to be earning after January. Like I don't know if we'll have him in a month's time.
I don't think
so. I think like as highly rated as Dougie Tripod is, and the money that's been suggested for him, I think typically strikers go for more money.
I think so.
We're thinking like 10, 15.
At least.
Well, see if he was playing in League One.
That's your starting price.
As soon as he signs for Scunthorpe United, that's how much he's worth. You know what I mean?
Aye.
That's the madness of the leagues down there.
The thing that I thought about this bit, and he was much quicker than I was expecting. That was probably my criticism last season, was that I thought that was all he was really missing for his game, was that we had the pace. But he wasn't a slouch yesterday. Like, he was getting in about and winning races. There was a boy on, I think it was Winston Ingram on Hibs.net, said that his hold-up play was an abomination. And somebody else replied and said, if that was my view on football, I would stop watching.
Yesterday, based on yesterday.
Aye, based on yesterday. And he went on to explain it and said, like, if you look at the times he took the ball in with his back to goal kind of thing, he lost it a lot of the time. And there probably were a few instances of that. But what I found with Nisbet is a lot of the time when he lost it, he was trying to make something happen. And it maybe just didn't come off. It's like those things where maybe the idea was better than the execution, definitely. But it's those ones when they come off, they look amazing. And I've no problem with players trying things like that and living with the 6 times out of 10 where it doesn't work for the 4 times out of 10 where it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Aye.
But that's the thing. I mean, I think last season we always thought it needs to be 2 up top and all that. And if you were going 1, you'd be thinking it would be Doig. But actually, Nisbet's a better footballer. Doig comes on to, I think he's better in a pair. Doig, even though he's a sort of target man guy, because they pick up scraps like that. Whereas Nisbet's actually got a bit of football in him. That sounds like Doig hasn't got any, but he came up. I mean, he's a footballer. Doig is a workhorse sort of thing.
Aye, bit more versatile as Nisbet.
Yeah.
We've got a few talking points for Twitter, so some fucking kind of text tweeted us. Sandy McKenzie said that he thought Neil Alexander must have been watching a different game. Hibs outplayed Motherwell and they had 2 goals against their run of play. Good goals granted, but they were not the better team. Thought it was a good game for sure, though. Did you hear Alexander's comments after the game?
Yeah. Well, clips yet. I've not heard that, but it was. I had some clips.
See, he sort of implied that Hibs dragged them down to our level in terms of trying to get the game stopped and playing for fouls and all this kind of thing, which I thought was fucking mental.
He said something along the lines of, what was it? You all saw what happened out there. And I thought that was just a bit odd, because I don't think you'd be watching the game with green tinted specs to say that Motherwell were the physical side, or at least started the physical side. One of the pleasing things to see for Hibs was that they weren't the shrinking violets when it came to dishing out a wee bit of what they were getting. But I never thought at any point that Hibs were throwing themselves to the deck, trying to waste time or do anything like that.
No, there was.
I thought he was alluding that Boyle. Sorry, Matthew. I thought he was alluding that like somebody was diving as well, and he's right. And I thought, obviously we ken who he's alluding it to be, because the fans were shouting at him as well. But it's like he was getting, as we've already said, he was getting kicked up and down the park. He wasn't diving. Like there was, and one case, he at the end of the game, that even I listened to the Sports Round podcast last night, and they were saying they were saying he wasn't diving and he could have went down there to get a penalty. And obviously they were ones that were put in that he's a diver last season after Yugi started it. So
there were moments where Boyle would ride a challenge and a second player would come in and wipe him out after the first player's not quite managed to do it. It was just
that was what happened with the penalty. As much as it wasn't the penalty that wasn't given, that was my take on it watching the back, was that the boy Mugabe goes in, doesn't get McGuinness, but he's done enough to put McGuinness off balance, and then the boys come in and wiped him out from behind. It did seem so. I know you've talked about it before. It was a phrase I hadn't heard of until you mentioned it. Was the whole rotational fouling, and it was like every other player, it seemed, wanted to have a kick at Boyle yesterday, and I can think of 3 occasions where he's just been cleaned out completely. I know one occasion where that I can remember where the Motherwell player got booked, but there was 2 others, and it did actually end up in the midfield at one point where I think Boyle's got a wee bit frustrated and it's ended up in a wee bit pushing and shoving. And I think it's just because the referee was by and large allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've got to book them early. We've spoken about that before in derbies, particularly because
Aye.
Levine's Hearts were the masters at it, and taking a turn each. And if the referee can start getting a couple of yellow cards at early doors, then it can slow them down. But it
Aye.
didn't happen yesterday. So
This means they can't play that
I
way.
just, I'm not sure what Alexander was doing, because I think a lot of the Motherwell fans, as far as I'm aware, thought they were shite, and not yesterday, but before yesterday's game, and they were expecting to be in a relegation battle. But I actually thought they were better than that.
Aye.
Yesterday, I think they'll be in a relegation battle at all this season, and so I was just a bit. I don't know what I don't know what his game is. I don't know what he's trying to do there. I don't know.
Unless it was
'Cause
just
can you?
deflection and trying to mask or divert attention away from the defeat.
Aye, but
Yeah.
you think he could have just said they played well, and like he said that they thought they deserved at least a draw, but if not to win the game, which I thought, like again, you base it. First half was more even than the second half. But the second half, I thought Hibs were well in
Yeah.
control. They broke. So
Only
they
made
had,
one save.
aye, they had
That I remember. Was
they had the chance when the ball was through on Macy, and Macy's made the save. But that was because we were pushing for a goal. Like we were totally attacking, and they were trying to counter. And sometimes that will happen. Like the team were going to get a chance, but I think there was any question that Hibs deserved the win. And certainly, if you were going to criticise one of the two teams for being niggly and trying to break up play, it wouldn't be fucking Hibs you'd point the finger at. Aye, so it could have just said that his team played well and they had a go, because they did.
And they were playing against a good team. They finished third last year. They were in the cup final. Blah 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 blah. We'll go again on that shite. You know what I mean? But to try and, I don't know what he was trying to work out. What he was trying to say.
But Motherwell's forwards were good. I think that mix of being strong and big and fast, they caused us some problems. But again, I thought we coped with it in the end. Like I think once the players got the measure of them, we done all right. Kev R, he said his talking points were the quality of play, the full FULL, not FWL. The full McGuinness is an excellent acquisition to the team. Murphy's missed chance and the team's drive and determination, and then that strip with lots of love hearts and me on fire emoji. So taking him in terms of the quality of play, Colin, you touched on it already, saying that for all Jack Ross gets a criticism of being boring, you certainly couldn't level that against Hibs yesterday.
No, I think it's Hibs fans that are harsher on it than anybody else. I think that other media outlets and that seem to say we're pleasing on the eye and good to watch. We scored as many goals. We scored the third best goals last season.
Aye,
in the league.
Third top scorers.
We've just went away and scored 3 goals again in a 3-2 win. Playing good stuff. We play Boyle, who's like electric to watch. I'm not really sure why we as a group of fans keep saying we're not playing good football when we do.
Aye.
Maybe because we were watching it on the telly last year. I don't know. It didn't look as good. I'm not sure. But we don't always play good football for 90 minutes every match. But neither did Rangers, and they were unbeaten last season. So it's no. I'm not sure why we do it. I don't know why we bash ourselves about it when other people are talking us up for it. So maybe we're wrong.
Accept it. John, we've already spoken about McGuinness, but Murphy's missed chance. So
we're talking about the lob.
The lob. How did you feel about that?
I was a wee bit angry afterwards, especially because Motherwell, it seemed within a couple of minutes, had gone up the park and scored. And I'd like to see it again, to be honest. Like, that's obviously the one that doesn't make the replays, but I would like to see it again to see if Murphy had an opportunity to take another touch. And
it's in Sports Scene. You'll see it in Sports Scene highlights.
Is it?
You watch Sports Scene, it's on there.
The boy was going to catch him, I think.
Was he? Well, this was something as well. Like, one of the things that was a bit of a head scratcher yesterday was when Murphy got the ball and he drove forward and then he drifted way over to the left-hand side. And I wonder if he maybe just didn't have the legs. Like, I think he's got the ability to make that lob. Yesterday he didn't, but in the heat of the moment, I was thinking if he takes that on the deck and he tries to beat the keeper rather than trying to go for the high risk lob, we might find ourselves 2-1 up rather than being 2-1 down chasing the game within a matter of minutes. But if it goes in, it's a wonder goal.
It's
And
one
you're
of them.
absolutely cheesing.
I love goals like that. See when did you ever play like with PES, or was it International Superstar Soccer? It was called back on the N64, or even the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. And if you chip the keeper, they were always my favourite goals. If you could take it for a bit of distance and lob the keeper, they look amazing. And when you
Was
get
that
the
the
keeper off
two
his line like
shoulder
that,
buttons? Two shoulder buttons in the square to try
aye,
and get
and
the ball.
then the shoot. Aye, it was like one of them. Anyway, one of the shoulder buttons and shoot, and you chip the keeper. So it's one of those ones that you're like, fuck. He could have taken a touch. He could have done anything with it, really. But the keeper was in no man's land, and
Aye.
if you didn't try it, you're never going to score them in. And you have to accept sometimes it'll not come off the way you want it to.
Additionally, like I'm not going to sit here and say that I could have made that shot. We were sitting in the stand, the comfort of a seat, however many meters away, thinking, oh, he could have done better there. Like he's done what he thought he should have done in the heat at the moment, and it just didn't pay off.
Aye.
I think he done anything. He did do something wrong because he put it about 5-10 yards over the bar, but it was probably that it was a good option to take in, I think, based on the situation. He just never executed it.
That's it. Idea better than execution again. Isn't it? It's one of those ones.
That's the title.
Aye.
That's the name of the podcast.
I thought it was coming from behind. But then the team's drive and determination. So again, one of the accusations levelled at Hibs last season was we can't win a game from behind. It's twice in 2 games. So we went behind to Santa Coloma in midweek, came back and won that game. Went behind twice, and this one came back to win it. So is that another one of these things that Jack Ross has labelled at him that we can start putting to bed now, do you think?
Last season, there was definitely an element of truth about it because we only came from behind to win once. But
we won it behind loads.
When I earned the reputation of being this Excel analytical wizard, I demonstrated that it happened to every team. Like I think it was something like in 70% of games where the team who scored first, in 70% of games, the team who scored first went on to win. We bucked that trend. I think we had a higher percentage, if I remember rightly, of going ahead and seeing out the game. It just so happened that when we did go behind, we couldn't get back into the game. But that was evident across the league. It wasn't unique to Hibs. But coming from behind against Santa Coloma, you can take into account the fact that they are, let's call them minnows. I don't think I'm being disrespectful by describing them as that. But also coming from behind against Motherwell, not once but twice to win the game. That's a real, I don't know, I was going to say it's a real feather in his cap, but it's definitely something that we can look at now and say we're capable of it.
Yeah, gives the players that wee bit of belief,
especially the way that, just to hark back to what I was saying, the wee thing that Craig brought up as well, and also admit that what Colin was saying about the accusation that Hibs play shit football. Like, there's every possibility that Hibs could have just lumped the ball yesterday all afternoon and hope for a break of the ball in the box and won it. We won the game playing good football on the deck. We wouldn't win that game being shit, playing unattractive football.
Aye, that's fair. Wizard wasn't the W word, by the way, that folk were saying with your Excel. Just so you get it was a different.
Start a W and an
R. William said their big number 9 was a good player. Shame we didn't find him. Doyle Hayes is going to be a great signing. Works hard, some good interceptions and some good forward passes. So their number 9, Van Veen. It's funny, I was speaking to my neighbour about him just before we started as I came in. And Airdrie played Motherwell a couple of weeks back and beat them. And he says, well, it was shite. He did nothing.
He's a journeyman, is he not? Is he not?
Aye.
He's played for everybody apart from Hibs, I think.
This is the point I was going to make, is I think he definitely played well. He had a good game. But I think that's as good as you'll ever get from him. I don't think he's going to replicate that week in, week out. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up at this age at Motherwell. That's my take on him. Just that
he'll not be in the. I mean, how old is he? Did you look that up when you were?
No, I never.
Because I'm just thinking he's probably not in the.
30.
Is he?
30-year-old. Probably played for 30 clubs. You know what I mean? It's like it's one of them. It's not in the target market that we're looking at.
No, he's
you know
not.
What I mean? What we get to sell him on for? What's he going to
Curtis
give
Main
us?
had a couple of good games for Motherwell, and you wouldn't sign him.
Aye,
Do you know,
exactly.
it's one of these ones.
Is
But
Louis
Doyle
Moult still
Hayes,
kicking about?
eh?
Louis Moult still kicking about.
Aye,
They've had boys go through there, had a good season, and then drift. You know what I mean? That's just what. Who was the boy that got their Player of the Year? Mind, he never just got their Player of the Year. He got the whole Player of the Year for the whole of the league, and then had a scrap at Player of the Year awards, and then went away. Was it Higdon or something like that?
aye, it was Higdon. Aye,
What happened to him?
Michael
Like after
Higdon.
his good season. So
He was a
I
shite
just think
player
he's
as
a bit
well,
of a
Higdon. Aye. Aye, it's funny, you see like a team, a player having a good game against us and you think, oh, that's going to be a great signing. But I genuinely, and we might eat our words, it might get to the end of the season, they might have a great season, but I can't see it. Doyle Hayes, we kind of spoke about already. Mick Cranley says criticism of our tactics from their manager. Again, we've covered that. Lucy Van Pelt, will we set up in the same way for future games? The formation appears to be based on scoring goals as opposed to defending. You score 3, we score 4 type of things. Would you take that?
Definitely. Well, I'm saying definitely. If the opposition were to score 3 and we scored 4 every week, brilliant. We'll win the league.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's how we set up though, but like we are attacking and we've got attacking players in the team, but we're not setting up to
Forget about defending.
we're not to forget about defending. No, we've got proper defenders in there. It's not like we're playing Boyle at right back or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like or wing back, we're playing a proper back four with a goalie and a defensive midfielder. So I don't think we're intending to let goals in. We're maybe intending to score 3, but I'm not convinced we're wanting to let the 2 in. And it was poor defending that caused the 2, wasn't it? As we've said.
Yeah,
so I don't think it was. I don't think it's. Obviously, it's not going to be intentional. I'm not.
Yeah.
But it.
But is it a bit of a risk reward thing? Do you know you mentioned it earlier, Colin, that phrase, and because I think Hibs are an attacking team, and I think we leave ourselves vulnerable at times at the back, like the save that Macy made. But you know we're pushing. I think it's 2-2 at that point, or maybe 2-1 Motherwell. Still, I can't quite remember the moment in the game where that happened. But we've pushing bodies forward, and it's just a straightforward long ball goes in behind. I think it's Hanlon.
To pass Hanlon.
Or maybe Porteous. It was that sort of side. And he can't get back, he can't foul the boy, and it's down to the keeper to make a save. I think Jack Ross, and I think he said it before, accepts that might happen when we attack because you take the risk and you commit men forward. But it seems to be working for us. I don't know if we do it every week though. If that's do you take those risks when you're playing Rangers or Celtic, for example, or are we a bit more conservative in those games? I don't know.
I thought yesterday the goals that we conceded, as much as it was, I thought the mistakes were uncharacteristic, and I thought our defensive display overall was pretty good. It was just those 2 were. It would be one thing to say that we conceded 2 goals through shit defending and we defended shit all afternoon, but I thought, with the exception of those 2 mistakes, I thought we defended really well. But it's hard to strike that balance of being too defensively minded because you have to give up something else somewhere else, or being too attacking and leaving yourself exposed. And I thought we had that right balance, especially I mentioned it earlier through the substitutions that we made.
Aye. What about you, Colin? Do you like exposing yourself?
Not anymore, mate. I'm too old now.
Right, Hibs Alison, her talking point was Daz stretching on the sidelines was a sight to behold. He was, because where we were sitting, you couldn't really see beyond the goal. In fact, even the back of the net was a bit of a push for us, the sort of angle that we had. You're a wee bit taller than me, John, so you have a better look. So I saw the subs coming out to warm up, but didn't get a proper look. But,
so is she objectifying a man there, is she? Is she? Right, is that all right? Is that okay to do that?
I will take it.
Equal opportunities for all. That's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Is it all right if I objectify him? Because I've done that a few times.
Aye. We're all fine with that, Alison. You're all right. Willie said here, if you play Daz, Hanlon at centre back and put Porto as the defensive midfielder, I think he'd be miles better than Gogic and we'd be solid in defence. So McGregor and Hanlon at centre half and Porteous in the midfield and just take Gogic out. folk are funny with
Got
this. So
midfielders to play
I can
midfield.
sort of see the logic in it, but it's funny. Folk used to say put Hanlon in midfield. Mind there was like
Well, that's what I was going to say. Out of the three, that you would put Hanlon in midfield because he's the better footballer out of the three of them, isn't he?
aye.
I think.
There was a
But,
wee bit of
but
a
you've
push for a
got
time.
loads of centre midfielders.
Aye. I'm sure there was somebody on Hibs that was adamant Hanlon was a centre midfielder, and he went on about it for ages. And you're thinking,
Aye. It's because
he
I
only played
remember
about fucking three games there. Aye.
Scored a bunch of goals for Hutchie Vale. I can't remember if it was midfielder up front, but I think he was only converted to a defender when he signed for Hibs.
Aye. That's an interesting theory anyway, Willie. Mike said Joe Newell's tweet replied to that fanny for the well. So did you see, I think the Evening News reported it as well, Joe Newell's tweet where the boy asked him if he was best pals with the ref. He wouldn't say best pals, but we text each other every day and I've invited him around for Chinese and a chill. Junior said Jake Doyle, Hayes, Newell and McGuinness should be the midfield three moving forward. All three bring energy and drive, plus all three actually look to pass the ball forward rather than backwards. So a three in midfield, Jake Doyle, Hayes, Newell and McGuinness. What are your thoughts?
What was the three there? Jake Doyle, Hayes,
Newell
GDH
and McGuinness.
So the thing about, because we were talking about it earlier, was about Newell passing the ball backwards. Like, there isn't actually anything wrong in passing the ball backwards. I know that there can maybe be too much of it happens at times, and because didn't get me wrong, like there was a first half yesterday, the number of passes that Hibs were playing trying to move it out for the back, like it was, you know how we can play goal kicks now to a centre half or anyone that's standing in the box. So we tried that yesterday and we just couldn't get the ball out. So inevitably it would come back to Macy, who lumped it forward. But if you're retaining possession, it's not a bad thing to pass the ball back.
Yep.
I understand the criticism of Gogic, but Gogic wasn't a shit player last year.
No.
Admittedly, there might be times to play him and there might be times to drop him. Like yesterday, I thought leading up to half time, he's the player to be substituted. I just couldn't work out why it was that the game was passing him by, and it's because I didn't realise that he was playing on the wrong side of the pitch. And mentioned that earlier, obviously, it must have been a tactical decision for Jack Ross, and he's realised that it wasn't working, so he's changed the whole thing. That is definitely a midfield three that could work. The one thing that Jake Doyle Hayes had going from yesterday, that he started the game presumably on his preferred side of the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to give the pair of them, like if we're talking about dropping Gogic for Jake Doyle Hayes, you kind of need to give them both the benefit of the doubt and compare apples with apples, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Aye. What were you, Colin? What's your thoughts that midfield three? Anybody missing from it that you'd like to see included?
Well, the obvious one's Scott Allen, isn't it? It's not getting in the side now, because with a three like that, you're playing one up front with two wide men. So we've got plenty of wide men at the moment as well, with Boyle and Mackay. Didn't get near the pitch yesterday either, did they? So the three in midfield. I'm trying to think who else is sitting there other than, because if you're putting Allen in for any of them, it would probably have to be for McGuinness, and I don't know, McGuinness hasn't done enough to get dropped.
Yeah,
he's been too good. So I suppose it works, doesn't it? It does work. The three of them.
But I suppose the point to make as well is that if you lose Jake Doyle Hayes through injury or suspension, you've got Gogic who can come in and play that role. If you lose McGuinness through tiredness, through injury, through suspension, you've got Scott Allen that immediately comes into that role. I'm not sure just off the top of my head who the immediate replacement for Joe Newell is. Might be Josh Campbell, who had a really good cameo 5-10 minutes yesterday.
He was good.
Or Ryan Porteous, maybe.
Ryan Porteous, playing the silky midfield role.
I think it's a good reflection of the options we've got in the team now, that you could actually take a couple of players out without significantly weakening the team. Which
midfield,
is the midfield, which is a good. We're not like that. Like if you lose a striker or two, we're struggling. Same with the centre halves, but in midfield, I think we still have a good mix of options, like different types of players, enough of the same type of players that are of a similar standard that you get away with it.
You could theoretically lose Doig, and we have missed Doig obviously because he had the COVID. And this bit's started up front. You've got Murphy and Boyle playing either side of him. But if you were to lose Nisbet, you put Doig in there. I think the bit that's still making folk a bit uneasy is at centre half. Like, we've got the options, I think, in midfield and probably at a stretch up front, but could do with someone at the back still.
We're alright up front if we're only playing one up front to
Aye.
cover. If we're playing two up front, we're a man down at least. And then, as you say, defensively, you're relying on McGregor, who, get me, I think's quality, but I mean, what age is he now? 36 or
36,
something.
I
So
think.
he's
Aye.
can't
Looking
can't
good for
play
it though,
every week.
Alisson.
Aye. But I don't think his body will let him play every week. No, with all the injuries he's had over the years, he's had bad ones as well. So I'm sure it'll impact him. And maybe prior to yesterday, I think you might have said it last week, Gogic can cover centre half.
Aye.
I think so in the Premier League, based on yesterday's.
Well, I think he
But
played
maybe if he's playing them regularly, he would be more switched on.
I think he played centre half at the start for Hamilton, but he only really started playing well when they took him out of the defence and put him in the midfield. And it's obviously where he's shone for us when he's played well.
Can we not write him off because he had a shite 45?
No,
Hey,
that's
I'm not
it.
writing him off.
Nobody's writing him off, John. You're all right.
In and out.
Gogic is fine. He just didn't have a great game. Right, David.
I need to stress the point that we're going to need
Just taking the heat off the handling, John.
all of these players for trying to negotiate Europe and various other things. And actually, I think it's probably to Hibs' credit that we started addressing that depth problem and cover at various positions. What else to say on it?
David Rutherford, last point for Twitter, and then we can go and speak about Jack Ross next. He said, David Rutherford said the case for and against the defence and leadership on the park. So I think we've probably spoken about the defence enough already, but leadership on the park, evident yesterday, you think?
I can't remember who it was or who it was that was talking about it or where it was that I read it, but
it's a good start.
I definitely saw mention of Paul Hanlon screaming at Porteous. And I saw evidence yesterday, Porteous having a go at someone after the second goal.
I absolutely roasted McGinn. Like at the first one, he had a right go at McGinn. At the second one, I can't remember who he was shouting at, but McGinn definitely got it tight because he was getting it a bit back after the first one.
So, just to touch on something you've mentioned before, like leadership doesn't necessarily need to be someone screaming and bawling or grabbing people by the scruff of the neck, literally or metaphorically. But it could be someone just putting in a challenge, like David Gray, someone to lift the crowd. And it maybe it's because I've got a wee bit of a hard on for Lewis Stevenson, but yesterday when the boy Kevin Van Veen had a wee bit of a cheap dig at him, Stevenson wasn't coming forward to say, well, he never said anything, he just fucking cleaned him out. And then I just squared up to him afterwards. That really impressed me. And I wonder if that maybe, I don't know, other folk can tell me whether they noticed it and whether that gave them a wee bit of a fucking, we're right up for this kind of feeling about it.
You're right, John. It's not just about the shouting and bawling and that. I know that's what a lot of people was sort of route one leadership stuff, but even like I criticised Joe Newell for his first half, but he kept playing in the second half. He kept driving us forward and that, and just keeping on playing and sticking to the game plan and making sure everybody is doing it. That's leading the way. You didn't come from behind in a game twice like that without some kind of leadership. We would all be moaning if we had lost the lead twice. We would have been saying we had a lack of leadership. So it's the opposite of that. So I think there was leadership yesterday for various people, and that's what it should be. It's no on Hanlon to be bawling and shouting at the referee or his players. There's boys like experienced players like Stevenson or future leaders like Porteous, and then you've got your playmakers like Nisbet and Newell.
So that's what I was going to say, was about the whole leaders all over the park. I was just picking out some different names there, but I know that there was a wee bit criticism that the players didn't have a go, the players didn't surround the referee when McGuinness never got his penalty. But if I remember rightly, the players, Hanlon in particular, got to speak to the referee at half time. Don't know what the conversation was, but presumably it was, what the fuck was that?
Go in and watch it on the telly and you'll see him with a fucking arse yet. I bet that's what it is, and then because that puts the pressure on the second half. Because actually, we never spoke about the second penalty, but at the game, I was a wee bit like, "Oh, do you think we got that one because
He's
we
evened
never
it
got
up.
the first one?" But it was a Stonewall penalty
Aye,
when you see it on the TV, his arms away out. But it was one of them, and the referees, I think he's always going to give it because he never gave the obvious one, and he's probably went in at half time and thought, "Oh, aye, I did make an arse yet."
I thought from like when you're looking at leadership, there was evidence of players shouting at each other and encouraging each other as well. You look at Nisbet when we get the penalty and his reaction to Boyle, where he's firing him up for the pen. But in a physical game like that, none of the players had. Do you know? I think it's easy. It's like you mentioned Boyle earlier, calling it. He gets kicked and then just gets up again and goes again at them. He did that all game. There was, I think it was McGuinness went in almost waist high on the right hand side to win like a 50-50 and clean the Motherwell boy in the same move. And it's like it wasn't even a free kick. I think that Motherwell got the throw in for it, but it was that sort of, we're going to rattle them as much as they're rattling us. Stevenson, I think, one point covered from the left hand side to the right hand side to win a tackle when we were winning in the game. There was loads of moments that Hanlon, the boy's nutmegged Porteous, I think, and he's running through on goal, and Hanlon comes in and it's like that. Do you know when you get a tackle that just stops the player dead and they go up in the air and the defender just stands up with the ball at his feet? Hanlon had one of them. Murphy taking the ball on a run. And sometimes you need that as well. Do you know, they're just calming things down and buying a wee bit of time for the team. I thought we saw it all over the pitch for the team yesterday, and I think that's, you saw it at the end of the game how together they all were when knocking over the fans. Kind of won, and they were all really fired up. Even Jack Ross is again, who gets criticised for not being emotional enough, looked fired up.
We need to remember. We need to remember that next time we lose a game and we start shouting and not having any leaders. Right?
Aye,
there is leaders there. It's just maybe they're not showing it that day.
That's it. Right, Jack Ross. We're kind of running out of time, so we'll touch quickly on Jack Ross and the European game in Ross County. Jack Ross, I think, must be close to having the best away win record Hibs manager certainly that I can remember. He gets or had some criticism for not being able to change a game. Yesterday, another away win, and you can look at significant changes that he made to the team that were influential in it. What are your feelings on Jack Ross? John, I'll start with you, and then I'll come to you, Colin. How do you rate him at the moment, John?
I thought he maybe came in for some unfair criticism and some fair criticism last season, but just some of the things that you talked about there, like you often hear it, and you heard it a lot last year. He's not got a plan B. There's no plan B. There was plan B's, C's, D's, E's yesterday. Like, it was just, we're going to change it. We're going to change it, and we're going to win the game. So that's to his credit, and that's something that should be bore in mind for future games. I think he was impeccably dressed yesterday. I'm thinking about going out and getting myself a blazer, because if he can pull that off as I slim down, I'm going to be able to pull that off as well.
Nice. I thought about it, and then I was like, I need one of those. When you go in for surgery, the gastric band or something like that. I'd need to the quite extreme measures if I was going to get it within the next 2 or 3 years. Colin, what about you, Jack Ross? What is your opinion?
I think he's unfairly criticised. I think, as you say, his record there. He came in probably in the relegation fight with Hearts, who ended up getting relegated. We finished, well, I was going to say top 6, but 7th in the end because of that points average thing. I think the style of play is better than we make it out, and others in the media, sports scene, and the radio guys agree. He showed passion yesterday on the touchline and at the end. He made good substitutions. He's building a good squad. He's signed an extended contract, so he wants to be here. He shows he wants to be here. I don't know why I don't know why there's so many people on his case because he lost for daring to get to a cup final and losing it.
I think that's fair.
I think that's the biggest issue, or a semi-final as well, of course. So he'd have been better not getting to them, and he would have. I think we would have probably looked at him in a better light.
Aye.
I was just thinking there. Do you think that one of you mentioned them obviously come over to the fans yesterday? That would be the first opportunity he's had since COVID stopped football to display that sort of passion, to come over and like speak to fans, or take their criticism, abuse, or whatever it happens to be. But that was the first time anyone would have seen that sort of passion from him, because he's just not been able to do that before.
Yeah. I'm sure he
So
went when he was
I
at
think you
St
can
Mirren.
expect that in future.
He jumped in the crowd to argue with a fan right at the start of his time
He
at St
did.
Mirren,
But
but it
he had
wasn't.
a chat anyway.
Aye, when it wasn't going too well.
That's
for
right,
him.
way back because he had a struggle at the start there. That's
Aye.
right. I forgot about
And then
that.
he,
I mean, I think we're quite as a fan base quite critical. I mean, it might be because just before lockdown we lost the derby, and then we were outside the stadiums and we couldn't get any more about it. And then, as I say, lost the semi-final and a final. So that's kind of what he's getting hung over, isn't it? Really, those 3 games probably, because. And obviously folk expect now to beat Rangers and Celtic as well. When you read the message boards, that's down as an expectation, which is strange. Like, I mean, it's good to beat them, but how often should you expect to beat somebody that's paying 20 times the salary or maybe not 10 times as much, 20 times a bigger budget or whatever? I don't know. It's just once a season it would be good. I wouldn't be hanging a manager over drawing with them rather than beating them.
No. I think it's a good point you make there as well. I always think and you picked up the big where we were when he came in, Colin, which I probably wouldn't have considered there. But even if you look at what he's achieved, what he's done, so he's brought in, you look at what he's done with Josh Doig. So he's spotted a young player who was already at the club, and it was the kind of circumstance that Josh Doig ended up with the first team, wasn't it? It was because of COVID, and they need somebody to come in, and he'd like to look at him. But Doig impressed in training, and Jack Ross was sort of brave enough to say, well, we've got Lewis Stevenson, but I'm not going to play him. I'm going to get a young laddie the season, more or less. Managed him really well, kind of took him out of the team, put him back in, handled that well, and is going to make what looks like a record, we're going to get a record fee for him. So you've got that, right, which is a good thing. His signings, along with the recruitment team, because I know it's like a team effort, but we mentioned it earlier on, there's hardly been a dud. And the signings that we've made since Jack Ross has come in, and they can't all be, what was it Robbie Nielsen said about the signing Hartswick, and they'll not all be Pelly. And you can, at our level, you're probably not going to get every single signing right, but we've got far more right with Jack Ross than he's got wrong. And you see the improvement in Kyle McGuinness is one. Kevin Nisbet's, even in the season that he's been with Hibs, is looking better. And you could probably kind of take that Paul McGinn's another one that's come on. When he signed, well, I thought, Paul McGinn, it's just a few folk got excited because of the surname, but really, folk, the underwhelmed phrase that folk use. So he's done that.
Here's a question that I've been pondering for a wee while, and it surrounds Hibs, Jack Ross, Ron Gordon. So you mentioned there signings, developing players, where we are currently, the signings that we've got right, there's not really been any that we've got spectacularly wrong since Jack Ross has come in. How do we, as a support, back what's happening at Hibs to the absolute hilt? What is it that we need to do? Is it just turn up? Is it buy season tickets? Is it, or what is it?
Go to the games. That's it. Turn up once we're all out back. I'm sure everybody's wanting to get back. Do what we did yesterday. The fans were brilliant yesterday. From start to finish, and there was moments in the game where folk were frustrated, and that's understandable. You see the goals that we lose, but by and large, yesterday support got right behind the team. That's all it needs. I think you do that, and you turn up, folk will buy into it. I think we need to kind of address your point, Colin. We need to stop talking the team down and looking for opportunities to hammer them and acknowledge the good stuff that they're doing. Because I think that's maybe where the wee gap is at the moment. Is there's too many folk will get hung up on the cup final, for example, losing that or losing the semi-final, and they hang on to it and they refuse to acknowledge that there's other good stuff happens round about it. It's just getting that wee change in dynamic that you start to cut them a wee bit of slack and actually kind of recognise the positives there. That's probably what I would say.
There is a I don't know how many people, but there is a small band, minority, whatever, that whatever Hibs tweet about, there's a negative spin taken on it. The Matthew interview, he's just want to sell players. No, it's not really what he was saying. You know what I mean? It's like whatever's written. So it's like, if as a supporter, maybe support the club, rather than look to criticise it all the time. There's constructive criticism, there's a time and a place and all that, but you don't need to go, you don't need to go digging all the time, digging Hanlon out all the time because he's made captain, or digging out the social media guy just because he posted something a couple of hours earlier than they wanted it, or it didn't mention Lee Griffiths' name or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever all the, it's just that there seems a constant group, and that used to be in our old days what we used to go and kick back and do. Is you would try and troll it. It's like Hibs fans doing it to Hibs. It's mad.
Aye. It's a good question, John. Like, but I think most of the support are right behind them. Like, and if yesterday was the flavour of it, you couldn't argue. Same with the European game at Easter Road last week. It was really positive. Like, I had one person that was a bit moany, that was behind us. But even then, by the end of the game, they were like right behind the team.
Yeah.
I think folk need to go and see Hibs and see them in the flesh again, and see what it was like. I think anybody that was at the game yesterday will spend most of this week still buzzing about it because it was fucking brilliant. Like, good, cracking game of football.
Around me.
Aye.
Yeah, I sat in 2 different places yesterday, and it was fine. The only complaint at one point was because the defenders were knocking, that bit when the goalie plays it, like you were talking about, John, playing it the centre half and then knock it back to the goalie and that, and it was just get fucking rid of it. That kind of chat, but that was it. That was the only sort of frustration that was sort of higher level, like so.
Aye.
Maybe when we start going back to the games, that all that shite that's been on social media and the message boards over the last year and a half will go.
When we're all back at Hampden this season for the next semi-final, we can all get behind them. Right,
imagine the pressure on that.
Okay, Thursday night, European football again. We're playing Croatian side Rijeka. I think I pronounced that right. Predictions for that? How do you think it'll go, John?
No idea. I think they finished third in their league last year, and Croatia are obviously a decent international outfit. Domestically, couldn't say. I'm assuming that they're decent. Got them at Easter Road. Let's make the place a bit intimidating for them. And I think if we can play at our best, I think we've got a chance of beating pretty much anyone in the Europa Conference League right now.
What would you call?
I'm similar in that I've no idea. On the Croatia league thing, I don't think any of the good Croatian players play in the Croatian league. They go
abroad,
go elsewhere, and I think their coefficient is lower than Scotland's. But then we're probably helped by Rangers and Celtic going quite deep into the Europa and that over the last 16s or whatever. When I say quite deep, but I'm not sure. Any idea where they are in their season? Are they sort of early stages, or
they're still quite early? They're a wee bit ahead of us, obviously. We've only just kicked off, but I think they're maybe 3 or 4 games in. And they've started well. I think they're top of the league at the moment. They've only conceded a couple of goals to one of the Zagreb sides. I think one of the top teams there.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's just one of the. At least it's a league we've heard of. So if we get put out, at least it's so for team we've heard of rather than like for nowhere. But are we seeded? Are we the seeded team? So are we actually technically the favourites then?
No, I think we're seeded. I think we were seeded last round, but I don't think we're seeded this round. And we'll not be seeded if we get through for the next round either. Where we could play, was it Panathinaikos or Bohemians?
Yeah,
It's PAOK. Is that Panathinaikos? Just shortened, or are they different teams?
PAOK Salonika.
Is it the different team? Is that no Panathinaikos then?
No.
Oh, I thought they just had abbreviated it, but there you go.
I think the only reason I remember that is because Arsenal played them in the Champions League years and years and years ago at Wembley, and Dennis Bergkamp scored a diving header. But he didn't make the return leg because he doesn't fly.
He doesn't fly, yeah. Would you put up for that if you could sign Dennis Bergkamp? Would you put up with your star player not going abroad if it was Dennis Bergkamp?
Nah, you'd have to try the B.A. Baraka stuff on him, I think.
Hey, drunk his milk.
From a glass of milk and that.
He wakes up in the changing room and that. Oh, man. Fucking hybrid Dennis. Just fucking get dressed for it. Out you come. Looks different. Sharp.
Sharp and drink your milk.
Aye, drink the milk.
You need to get him to a hypnotherapist or something, eh? Like,
aye.
Especially if you're in Europe as much as they were. You need to get him there to get him over that fear. Paul McKenna or whoever it is. I don't know if he's been on the bad list, but one of these.
Imagine he was, and he just convinced the police he wasn't. Paul, we've got these pictures that we found your phone. No, you never.
I will watch you. Just like, look at this.
I'll confess it for a no, you didn't. All charges dropped. I think it's the potential. I don't know enough about the team, but it strikes me as being like the what was the Greek team we played? Astana, was that?
Yep.
Yeah. And that was a great night, Easter. But I thought we were 2-0 down half time. David Gray comes on, second half, we go and win the tie 3-2 and then win over there. I think it's potential to have one of those sort of ties with them. So
I'm just reading that they've got a new state-of-the-art 14,600 capacity all-seater stadium. I'm thinking we'll beat them. Fuck that. Don't care about Croatia.
Stadium size,
and
Battle of the Stadiums.
And then we're back on Sunday again at Easter Road to play Malky Mackay's Ross County.
Why did you say Malky Mackay like you were just about to die?
Do you know
Malky
Mackay? Because I was going to make a joke about his past indiscretions, but I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head quick enough. Do you know? So
what, his racist texts?
Aye, that's it. His racist and sexist tendencies. It's a good reason to go and fucking beat them. But I saw they drew 0-0 with St Johnstone at the weekend, and they looked pretty shite. If I have to be honest,
just shit teams to watch. Like St Johnstone as well. It was just dull.
I think I saw a decent tweet actually now that I've dipped my toe into the Twitter waters again. It was about Galatasaray or Fenerbahce scouts having to watch Ross County against St Johnstone ahead of the European tie.
Galatasaray, they're playing them on Thursday.
Aye.
Or sorry, was it Galatasaray or PSV? I think it was because it was maybe a tie still to be played or something.
Right. Well, it's Galatasaray they've got, but
definitely.
Yeah, they must just be thinking, how are they in this tournament?
What's happening?
Then they'll catch them out across to the back post, and the big boy will come in and bang it in. They'll be like, oh fuck.
Aye, they'll be able to score against
just
them.
How did that happen?
Ball their way through.
Imagine St Johnstone went and won the fucking Conference League, didn't that?
Yeah.
Just like takes everybody by surprise. Just clean sheet and a fucking back post header every tie.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Sean Rooney, tournament top scorer with 3 goals.
three goals. So predictions for Sunday, do you think we're beating Ross County?
Aye.
Colin, what's the score?
I think so. Well, it depends. I think Thursday night I maybe have a bit of part in it because it depends what team you go. You might go the strongest team on Thursday and then make a few changes on Sunday. Although I don't know, does he need to do that just yet? It's only the start of the season. But I'd like to think maybe a 3-0.
John?
I'll go 2-0 just because of the reasons that Colin mentioned there. It's a bit got a lot of games in a short period of time. Thursday, Sunday.
Aye, I think Hibs will win.
And it's not going to ease up if we beat the Europe this Rijeka mob.
Take that. No, that's what you're in it for.
Absolutely.
I'll go 3-0 Hibs. There'll be another game where we score 3 goals. Last thing, just to wrap up on, then there was a sign as you're going into Fir Park that says all children must be paid for. But it didn't kind of as a warning for folk who are planning on having them, or just like a reminder for those who do have them.
Or if you're taking one that you're due someone some money.
Aye. So I'd asked folk on Twitter to say, like, what is your kind of, have you seen any more actual factual signs than that, or do you have any favourite ones? So you can have a wee think of yourselves if you've got any signs that you particularly liked. Remember, there was one for the family planning clinic, and the sign says, please use rear entrance, which was decent. TG Willis says, he had a wee photo one that says, please do not empty your dog here. Sharon Ford, so we pictured a sticker on a box, please remove product from box, which is fucking obvious. Do not breathe under the water. It's one for Fatus Prickus. There was, where was the next one? I remember seeing a photo of a wee sign that says, please do not throw stones at this sign. And that always confused me because if the sign was there, they were just going to throw stones at it. You know what I mean? It's like, Kaiser Soze, it's on a shelf with a load of peanuts. It says this product contains peanuts. Also, one that says do not sit on the fence, and the fence is one of these ones with the big spikes on it. WTC 1981 had it looks like Lancaster Rail Station, which is Lancaster, home of Lancaster University. And he says, where the fuck else is that going to be? He also had a caution slippery when wet or icy sign. Natural Order came from James Davis, which was a good sign. There was another one, Vince Robinson, sitting in a Chinese restaurant, and it's called Ming In Cuisine. So Ming In Cuisine. It's probably going to make you want to eat there. 150k on Hanlon Hill says this sign was whipped out Easter Road anytime Edwin de Graaf turned up looking for a game. It says please keep off the grass. Michael Moore sent one in that just says it's the Lunderston Bay toilets, and it says nay Dugs. That's the sign there. Glenn, keep back from the platform edge, or you may get sucked off. It's a sign at the train station.
Just everyone standing on the platform edge.
Choosers doing, fingers crossed. I think that's all the ones we've got. Apologies if you sent one and I missed one. If you've got a favourite sign.
Still don't know if it's a favourite, but you know when you're driving along the bypass and you get the ones above, on the signs above. I was thinking when it says fasten your seatbelts, I'm always like that to the bins. Oh, must be a fast bit of the road this bit. When you're on like the waltzers or something.
Here we go.
Like,
There was one of these signs that says be a courteous driver, and I thought I should say please. Couldn't take it seriously after that. There was a disabled, I think I might have talked about it on the podcast before, disabled toilet in Aegon. It says a sign next to the toilet says please don't put your empty tuna cans in the bin. It's a very, very fucking specific, very specific sign. I thought somebody must have been doing that. It's gone in. We'll go. What damn we could do with a tuna can? Just chuck it in the disabled toilet.
In that bin, as long as it's in the bin, surely.
Aye, I think the folk must have been going, fuck, these disabled folks stink of fish. Ken, it was getting them a reputation.
So I think it was, was it knowing the mobility impaired toilet? And you know how there's sometimes, it's not exactly a sanitary bin, but maybe it was. It was as if they were eating their tuna in the toilet and then just dumping the can in there. It was such a weird situation.
Aye, very specific. John, any for you before we wrap up?
No, off the top of my head, I can't think. Too tired.
Oh, there's somebody said that about mind your head, as if who's going to forget it? That means your head signs on the bus and that. Anyway, right. Thanks for listening. We're back on Thursday. We might have a quick bang on Thursday, depending on who's available after the game.
What time's kickoff? Is it 7:45?
Oh, I think it's a
normal
kickoff.
It'll be quarter.
Quarter.
So there'll not be a short bangers on Thursday then.
Oof, no.
Night off.
Aye.
I'm really glad we teased out those 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Aye, should have held
for the game.
Cover
for
back,
the episodes will not released.
He did tell you. He did tell you.
He did. That's my bad.
Here we go. I'm just reading. I was trying to find out the kickoff time, and I've googled Hibs Rijeka, and it's saying Goran Tomic dubs Hibs long ball merchants as he outlines what Rijeka must do to beat them. So he's automatically on my shit list.
Because we're Scottish. He's just racist. That's what it is. He's the Croatian Malky Mackay. So fuck him. Thanks for listening. But probably won't have a short bangers on Thursday, but we'll figure something else out for it. Watch out for our Twitter anyway. We should have a quick bang anyway. Other than that, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.